Hi, Dr.G. I figure that I could kill two birds with one stone, I guess. I'm out in nature. I'm at Lake Underhill Park. I've been here for about 20 minutes now, kind of reflecting, I guess. I reflected on the drive here, and, honestly, I don't know why I'm getting emotional already. It has not been easy, I guess. But I'm okay. I think the last update that I sent you was I was going to Las Vegas to go see my mom and see Will. Or not see Will, but I was going to ask Will to marry me. And, one of those things that, if it feels good at the time, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be better for the future. So, him and I had been fighting on and off over things on me wanting a deeper connection, and I wanted someone to peel back the layers of onions with me and in regards to emotions, and he just was not doing it. I've tried to present all the different ways that he could do that. I sent him articles, the benefits of communication, and delving into childhood trauma and things like that. And he wouldn't go for any of it. So that was frustrating, and I noticed over time, after the trip, that I was starting to resent him to a point, and I was getting frustrated. And I was talking with my ex Rodney, who I'd been with for 10 years in Salmon Andrew, and Salmon Andrew, on a sidebar, I don't know if I told you, but I've been with Salmon Andrew for the last 4 years now, and they were kind of my guides, I guess, after I separated from Rodney. But anyway, so Rodney's totally turned his life around, and I look to him and Salmon Andrew for advice. And the one thing that they've always said is to let Will be Will. And I've been getting so caught up in the thought of me, and not really thinking about him and how he's feeling. And so just a few days ago, he was like, "You've broken me down." And I made him feel horrible, and I felt horrible. And Will is not the first person to ever tell me that, because I did that same thing to Rodney because of my own insecurities. And I guess where I'm coming from with Will is that, he has a terminal illness, and he said to me in the beginning that he wants to do all the fun things while we can. And I want to build that good relationship while we can, so it feels like there's a bigger push for growth. And I was telling Sam the other day, Will's situation is the perfect storm for codependency. And prior to me telling him this, I had left Will's house because I felt like I had to go, because I realized that. And sometimes, in all of my therapy sessions, that I've just realized that I have to examine myself as in a third person point of view. There was this article that I read a few months back, and it was these two neuroscientists, and they postulated this idea that we are not our thoughts, and to observe ourselves from a third person point of view. And when I realized that codependent thing that I was going back in with, it kind of clicked that I've been going for months on this feeling like he needs to do something. And in that entire time, I had actually not been taking care of myself. I've been so focused on being frustrated with him, and it, it was a big breath to take. And I'm going to try, and with anxiety, it's so hard to live in the moment. Like Rodney said, that anxiety is worrying about things that could happen or have happened. And I've realized that I live so much of my state with those two thoughts in mind. Things that I could have done, things that I could do, things that I could be scared of, all of that. And it's I don't live in the moment as much as I should, because oftentimes when I'm with Will, I think this has got to be the best moment ever. And my anxiety always gets in the way, and that's a terrible thing. But I do want to show you some of the photos that I took. I made a little recap folder. I don't know if you recap of all the major things that have occurred since the last video. So we did make it to Vegas. We got to see my mom. We went to a little fair there. There's my mom there in the middle, and there's Will, and there's me. And it was good seeing my mom. It's always hard for me to see my parents get older. Well, I'm so emotional. Anyway. But I do miss my mom, and I wish I could see her more. I should probably call her. Anyway. So shortly after that trip, I was in that car accident, right here on the 408, right past the Bumby exit. It was me and 4 other cars that were involved, and I was at the very front. I didn't cause it, but this stupid truck stopped in front of me, and I had to, slam on my brakes, and I stopped. But then that caused a huge pileup, and I felt fine at the time, but then I went to the chiropractor and got x-rays and MRIs done, and I have like 6 to 8 herniations in my neck, the majority of my neck, which makes it really hard to sleep. Like, I can't use pillows anymore, like, no matter how flat or how firm. And a few weeks after, I had like a post-concussion syndrome, which I recently saw in my paperwork, which would make sense. I mean, I couldn't get sentences or thoughts together, and that sucked. And for a while, like, when the chiropractor had initially told me, he's like, herniations, they never go away. So then I'm thinking, okay, so I have to live with this pain forever, and that sucks. But it could be worse, I guess. I guess another good deed that came out of that is, since I was the first person that was hit in the accident, I checked myself after I was hit, and the person at the very back that, come to find out, had caused the accident, she was just getting out of her car, or at least trying to anyway. Her name was Kim, and she was in the Jeep right here, and she couldn't get out of her car, so I ran over to her, and I helped pull her out of her car from the passenger side. Her car was still on. She didn't know how to turn it off. I crawled in her car, and there was like smoke in the cabin because her airbags had gone off. And I was like, get anything valuable out, and that was I don't know, that was, I guess, one of my good deeds that you could tack on there as well. It wasn't intentional, I guess. I was fine, but she looked like she was in distress, so I did the best that I could to help. And so we text, once a week, we check in. I guess that's nice. And what's funny is the day of that accident, like I probably mentioned this in my first video or two, that I felt a level of imposter syndrome for graduating, and I thought that I'm not worth it, or I didn't put in enough work, and I'd been thinking about that for years. And the day of this accident, I woke up and it like hit me, and I was like, wow, I'm about to graduate. And this accident happened, and I told my therapist this, like, the day I woke up feeling awesome, and then I had my therapist appointment, and I told her that awesome feeling, and then I went to go see Will, and then we got in an argument, and then I had the accident, and it just, a lot happened in one day, and it totally just messed it all up. And I'm blaming, I don't know who to blame sometimes, I guess. I feel like I'm being my own therapist right now. Bear with me. I'm sorry. But, on the flip side, I had a crappy car, and I bought one. I've always wanted to get a Veloster, so I got a 2021 Veloster. So that's the good that came out of it. I'm still waiting on my settlement. Man, I just want to get you caught up on everything that's happened. And then I guess a month after that, I came over to Will's house, and look, he made me that cake. How cute. He's a sweet man, and I forget that sometimes. And I think that if I just didn't try and change him, that I would still love him and it would be okay. What's funny about advice, my friends have always said that I'm really good at advice, but I'm not good at listening to it. And I know that when I reflect back on this video, I'm like, wow, I know what to do, but I never do it. And I wish that there was some way that I could, like, as the things come out of my mouth, I could get them into memory and make them happen. But I still struggle with that. Andrew of Sam and Andrew, we went to EDC, and we had a really good time. For a long time, well, since meeting Will, him and I had disconnected, and he's on the spectrum, and he doesn't have any friends, and he's one of the few people I would consider like my true blue best friends. And man, since meeting Will, and stopping DJing, like I don't really have any friends, and I've neglected Andrew, and I've neglected Sam, and my friend Ryan and Nikki and Julia. Like they've all wanted to see me, but I've noticed that I don't text them as much as I used to, and I guess that's a faux pas on my part. And I know that they used to say that I'm a lazy friend, and I probably am. I feel like there's just so much to juggle sometimes, and there is a pessimist in me, But there's also resiliency, because I know that I'm probably going to feel super awesome after I hit end on this video. and I'll feel better, I guess, and I don't get out much like I used to. I work from home, and it's nice to be outside. I mean, it's helpful too that the weather is nice. One of the things that I was reading about Buddhist philosophies, and Taoism was the other one, is being content and in the present. And, regarding my anxiety, I wish I could just do that. And one of the things that I talked about with my therapist, we have child brain, all of the in that regards, like all of the things, all of our traits that we have now are built from our adolescence. And I feel the need to correct people or control my world or whatever, and that's the kid brain talking. And there are moments when, if I just focus on it, I can get into that adult zone and be in the present. And I don't worry about anything, and breathing exercises. That's one of the things that it's part of polyvagal theory. That's what Sam taught me. It's our vagus nerve, and how our breathing controls our level of excitement, our state of anxiety. I wish I could remember that, because for years I've been doing the same thing, getting flooded with emotions, dopamine, serotonin, all at once, all the things that I wish I could change, and I'm grabbing at things as I'm falling down, and using the polyvagal reflex and focusing on my breathing is something that I forget all the time. Just, it's a simple in through the nose, out through the mouth. I'm thinking about how I started this video and how much better I'm feeling now, and you can probably tell in my tonality. And I just feel more at ease right now. It's probably the breathing and recognizing the things around me and the ability to self-reflect and I think sometimes that I could be worse off. But at the time when I'm stressed and flooded with emotions, I think that this is the worst. But it's really not. It feels like I'm dying, but I'm not. It feels like the world's ending, but it's not. I'm fortunate for the people in my life. And I'm so thankful for them. And Sam and Andrew have been so good. They've turned me around, and They help to motivate me, and Will is so loving and so sweet. And Rodney turned his life around too. You know, he got into a lot of trouble, and he bought himself a food truck, and now he's making like $150,000 a year. I'm so proud of him. I think my main takeaways for this semester is that as tough as it is, that it will get better. And it always does. I'm sorry I'm so emotional. Well, you've been an awesome instructor, and I hope to see you at graduation. And thank you for giving me this project. Bye, Dr. G.